Hello everyone, my name is R. Turner Anderson. The date of this presentation was the 22nd of October 2017. I am currently enrolled in College 101, the summer class of 2017. The topic I went with for this project was a career in biological conservation. Introduction. Biological conservationism is the career that I chose to explore upon. I chose to explore this career choice because of my love and admiration for the environment and my desire to protect and preserve it. The topic sentence that I went with was the quote, "There are many details of becoming a biological conservationist that must be investigated in order to choose if conservation is a good field for me." The reason behind my love for the environment comes from when I was 19, I began working for a sea turtle conservation program. Though the work was hard, it was the happiest time of my life. I realized then that I wanted to dedicate my life to conserving the environment and taking care of ecosystems. The innocence of the baby hatchlings and the satisfaction of saving these turtles was further proof that I wanted to have a career in conservation. This experience has shaped my hopes for my future and caused me to plan for a successful career in biological conservation. In this first photo, you can see the baby hatchlings on the sand. This was during my volunteer internship down in Mexico. And that night we had about 20 hatchlings, and we didn't have a moon to help the hatchlings make it to the ocean. So we had to get out flashlights and help them into the water. And this is a video here of a hatchling.
Oh my God, look at him go.
And this last photo is of me at about 3 in the morning. We would patrol the beach in a sand buggy. And one night we had so much rain it washed out part of a ravine. And I didn't know about it until I crashed the entire buggy into the ravine. So just like funny stories like this that we got to enjoy, and it was a good and fun time. The relation to my degree plan. Currently, I'm enrolled in APUS's Public Health Associates program. However, I plan to go on and claim a bachelor's in environmental science, but I chose to focus on public health first. I chose this path to have a further career in environmental conservationism because I wish to evaluate people's relationship with the environment and how it affects our health in everyday life. I dream of working for the World Health Organization, the Peace Corps, or the United Nations to help communities around the world have better life qualities and safer and healthier conditions. In this photo here is really innocence personified for a baby hatchling. What are the common careers concerning biological conservationism? Typically, common careers in conservation include, but are not limited to, wildlife managers, biologists, educators, wildlife law enforcement officers, wildlife technicians, specialists in public relations concerning the environment, an environmental policy analyst, and a wildlife economist, according to the Wildlife Society. The career that most interested me was a career as a wildlife biologist. A wildlife biologist, quote, uses scientific principles to research wildlife and habitats to increase our knowledge base, unquote. And that, again, is according to the Wildlife Society. And here you can see a woman relocating turtles, something that we did while I was volunteering in Mexico. Where in the world can careers be found concerning biological conservationism? Careers in conservation can be found anywhere in the world. However, as a wildlife biologist, the possible locations are much more remote and treacherous. And careers in conservation can be found all over the world because of humans interacting with the environment on a daily basis, and careers in conservation are quite versatile. Wildlife biologists typically have careers in national forests, deep bodies of water, or any area of wilderness where many species of animals can live without an excess of human contact. And here you can see this is a map of the United States where zoologists and wildlife biologists can find careers, and that would be the Pacific Coast, or Florida, North Carolina, or New York. It's typically where careers can be found. What kind of schooling, how much, and what background is necessary for a successful career in conservationism? Typically, higher education is a necessity for administrative jobs concerning conservation. Typical degrees are a bachelor's in wildlife or fisheries management with several focuses of ecology, conservation management, botany, or environmental law. Typically 5 years of professional experience is recommended, but not a complete necessary qualification. And a certification in wildlife biology is welcomed and wanted by many wildlife organizations and will be a focus on a resume. Why did leading conservationists choose the careers they have? I chose to inspect the 3 leading conservationists that I know of and that are idols of mine. That is going from top to bottom and left to right. That is John James Audubon, former President Theodore Roosevelt, and Steve Irwin. And all were notable for their love of the wilderness and the environment. And I'm noticing this common theme with these famous conservationists proves that having a desire to conserve the environment is a necessity to be a successful biological conservationist. And even though I did notice this commonality, during our annotated bibliography, I read a case study that stated the same thing, that a personal relationship was vital to a successful and fulfilled career in biological conservation. The potential salary for a wildlife biologist, typically the average salary is about $58,000 a year according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, to $64,000 according to Indeed.com. The hourly wages are typically $28 an hour. The bottom 10% or the least educated, the least experienced typically get about $38,000 a year, with the top 10%, it's typically your managers with the masters and the PhDs typically have $96,000 to $97,000 a year in wages. Typically, government-held jobs concerning wildlife biologists make the most money on average, with $74,000 a year, with research scientists concerning wildlife biology is about $60,000 a year. And noting again, having a master's or PhD will permit the highest number of career options for a wildlife biologist and will typically increase wages. And this is due to a slower growth in the career rate for these jobs in conservation. The work conditions for a wildlife biologist typically are rough and ragged, but a biologist can have a lab or an office, but the majority of their time is spent collecting data out in remote ecosystems. Work duties for a wildlife biologist typically can be quite diverse depending on which field you get into. Managing and studying wildlife populations by trapping, tagging, and relocating animals for conservation purposes is a typical career, typical work duties. Conducting censuses, research studies, and data analyses is also typical. A wildlife biologist could manage forests and wetlands to save endangered species and ecosystems. say in city limits or for commercial properties, the evaluation of these properties and their impact on the ecosystems is also vital and important. Sometimes administrative work is a possibility, and understanding data analytics is absolutely crucial when dealing with these animal censuses, research studies, and the evaluation of commercial impact on the environment. In conclusion, I think that a career as a wildlife biologist would be a good fit for me. I love the outdoors. I'm very passionate about the environment, and saving it is definitely an interest that I have. And the workload of a wildlife biologist is very intriguing to me. And it was this presentation and this class that has helped me hone in on which career plan I want to have, and has given me the resources to understand what is necessary to be sought after by a future employer. And these resources have also shaped my knowledge on what is needed to have a successful career in environmental conservationism. And here are my works cited.